Okay, thank you guys for being here with us. And I am trying something today. And so you guys bear with me. Tiff meant to, I think I mentioned it to you, but I am trying to broadcast simultaneously.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you guys bear with us here, or me. So if things get screwed up, it's all on me. and, uh, but I'm trying to expand our reach, Tiff, and hopefully, if things are working well, um, you'll be able to see us on YouTube live and on Substack. So, hey, I'm trying to level up here.
Hey, look at you.
but I'm going to, like I said, I talked to you about some of the topics that I want to talk about. And the first one that I really wanted to get into was the setback that Trump got with Indiana. Like the Republicans there got a spine, okay?
Yeah, that was actually pretty shocking, but I knew there was like contention about it before, so I think that actually that helps a little bit here in Maryland because people have been talking about doing like a special session to kind of bring back our delegation so that we can, the House of Delegates and the Maryland Senate, our General Assembly, to be able to create a redistricting plan. But I don't think that happens now because we were trying to counteract what was happening in Indiana. And it will be interesting to see what we end up doing. But I'm glad it didn't go through. That's good for, I think there's 2 seats in Indiana right now, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it was it Cleaver that was going to be impacted, or was
I
it?
know that he was one of them. I don't know who the other one was, but the other thing that really bothered me about it was that what they were going to do was the same thing they did here in Nashville. They were going to carve Indianapolis up like a Christmas turkey, like they did here. And that just, splits dim votes and black, minority voters. And I'm glad they stood up, you know.
Yeah, listen, that's what we listen. Regardless of what you think of Republicans, which I don't have much to think about with them because they're horrible to me for the most part. But sometimes they do, like you said, get a backbone. Sometimes they do have common sense and understand the impacts of what they are trying to do and accomplish, and how it can obviously backfire on them because people are watching and seeing what they're doing. And just because you carve something to be a nine, somebody said 9-9-0 map, they're going to do Cleaver and Marvin, which Marvin is in like a really black district. If you take those away, you may get more people to turn out because they're pissed off about what you're doing.
There you go.
Like in Tennessee, which we saw more people show up, although she didn't win, it does spark some intrigue in people because when people are mad, they vote. It's just fact.
It really is, and that is the thing, here the message that we're getting and sending is that it was a win for us. It was still a win because what it showed them that, first of all, you got to fight here. It's not, you don't have a guaranteed vote here. Okay, even in your gerrymandered districts, it is not guaranteed, and the things that they're doing to people, to their own voters, is starting to hurt them. They are experiencing blowback. And the deeper we get into some of the effects of what he has done, I think the more of, maybe like independents who were looking, for a change, something better, hoping for something better, and are terribly disappointed. I think that they will be voting for Dems. And I think, of course, you can speak more to this, but more Latinos are going to be, like they have felt the heat from the stove. And
yeah, well, I don't think it's just Latinos. I think, there are some white folks that were promised things that they are not getting. One of those things, and we've been talking about this for the entirety of the year, is truly the affordability crisis. I mean, people are no longer able to afford basic necessities. And when you get to that point, you become very desperate, and you now are seeking. And we saw that we saw this with inflation and how it impacted Joe Biden's candidacy, and then kind of trickled down to Kamala, where people lost trust in, not fairly, because I think people did not appreciate the kind of the trajectory of progress that we were making from 2022 to 2024. And so people kind of thought, okay, this was something that Biden was working on, but he really didn't do anything. And now I think they're seeing that what Biden was working on was actually working, and now Trump has come and totally dismantled it, and now we're even in a worse position than we were in 2020, 2024, and 2025. People are worse off than they were last year. And so you have that aspect of it where will people be in 2026? Because right now, if you're struggling now, there is nothing that Trump is doing, passing legislation, to actually help people to make their lives better.
He's actually mocking people, mocking us. This ridiculous thing. I don't know how he got stuck on dolls. It's a little gross to me that's the example that it's weird and it's gross. That's the example that he used. And then pencils and China. Like, I thought you were trying to tamper China's progress and tamp down. But now it seems like you and the other Republicans are basically copying their model, because what it is you don't want immigrants here, and you don't want taxes, and you want all this deregulation for other people, but not yourself. Not the 1%. You want to be able to control everything. That's what China does. That kind of, the government, what's the chip maker? Is it Nvidia or that is now allowed to sell these chips?
Intel. I think it is Intel.
No, it starts with Nvidia or Nvidia.
Nvidia does make stuff too, yeah. So.
Yeah, that's who it is. And so during the Biden administration, they were not allowed to sell those chips to China. And that was to help us to remain a front runner in this AI race. Okay. And now he has allowed them to sell them to China, but we're getting a portion of it. And I'm still not sure who the we is of that, because, he carves a grift out for everything that he does. But that being said, people are waking up. They are. And I want us to kind of carry on with the election stuff, because the other thing, and I know you did a video, I meant to find it, but next time I'm going to get better with this. Jasmine Crockett made the announcement, and yes, people have lost their minds.
Which was not surprising, because we already know how this goes. Does it make it any less frustrating, though, to be honest, right? It doesn't make it better, because we already know how these folks operate. And what pisses me off about the way that they came at her is that if she would have ran for her House seat, they would have said nothing. When other folks that have entered the Senate from that are currently in the House have voted the same exact way, and they were not analyzing their records, their voting records, they didn't care. Angie Craig, Chris Pappas, Colin Allred, these people were all in the House last year. Raja Krishnamurthy, Robin Kelly, these people are all running for a Senate seat. Haley Stevens, other than Haley, they did go at Haley Stevens, and it's It's not because of her votes. They went at her because she takes APAC money and she has close ties to Israel. So they don't like that. But Jasmine, she actually didn't take any money from APAC, and they decided that they were going to use that as something, which was a lie. And then they took it to a whole nother level, and they're like, well, we don't like her votes. Okay, but those it requires nuance, because those votes also, like most House bills, have other
things in them,
components to it, right? So the one that they keep bringing up is the one that had funding for actual Palestinians or Palestine, and the other part of it was Haiti. So no, she used her common sense, and she was like, no, I'm going to vote for this, even though I may not agree on the fact that they're giving money to Israel farms. Okay, this is you. When you're a person in the House, you have to make hard decisions. These
yes,
people don't understand that.
And you have to understand and have the context. Thanks for joining us, folks. Send us some hearts, so we can raise the algorithm here. But you're absolutely right, and that's the nuance that is often missing, especially in online discussions. And also, I think just people's understanding of civics. But going back to the APAC money thing, what I see that ramping up to be is kind of like the new cudgel to bash people that they don't like with. And, the significance of it, I think, is if people do take that money, is very small, because in regards to PACs and what they do and what they stand for, I mean, I think most people have PACs and organizations that advocate for them, and that's what they're doing,
Right.
and the, as I said, the influence compared to other PACs that exist is very small and minute, but they are using it because it's very divisive, and they can tie it in with Gaza. So people need to be careful about that and have more depth of understanding about it. But the one that really got me was Carvel. I mean, he's talking about she broke the first rule of politics. Really?
And what's that? I didn't even hear what he said.
Okay, yes, I just read that before we came on, and I'll send it to her. You may see it. But he said that she was talking about herself. Okay. And I think that goes to like the opening video ad that she did. And, I didn't see that. And again, it's like he's misrepresenting that ad and taking it out of context, because what the ad was amplifying was how much she stays in Trump's mouth and in his head. But when she gave, and I listened to it, I watched it live on Substack, her opening announcement, she talked about the issues that people have, the real issues, and she seemed very in tune to exactly what they were. And I have no reason to believe, from all of the things that I have watched her do, that she is not in tune with her voters, their issues, and what they need, and prepared to fight for them. And she is a fighter. No one can dispute that. And so I feel like that too was kind of a petty grievance from him, because, he complimented, of course, her, dim opponent, Tellerico. And I wonder why, but it's kind of like, I heard you and Kenny and Zach talking about this, but it's kind of like, as long as she has stayed in her place, before the problem was, we want fighters, Dems need fighters or whatever. And clearly she is a fighter, like extraordinaire, and that's kind of part of her platform. I love it. What is it? Crockett, for Congress, Texas tough. And I think that she is. And so they are screaming that they want fighters. She clearly is, okay? But they want her to stay where she is. It's kind of like for us as Black people, the stuff we hear all the time. You are fine, just stay in your place. You know, if you
It's
get out of
definitely giving that. It's definitely giving stay in your place kind of energy, or you can only give us like a portion of the energy that you think that you're like. It's very frustrating to watch how people are talking about Jasmine in the way that they are. One, that ad, if you are so slow and don't understand what that ad was about, then that is your, like she said, what she said, your something about she said did an interview and she was like, you're like, she basically called them unintelligent, right? I mean,
and she has a very nice way of doing that.
But she was pissed. You could tell she was pissed in the video that she did. She has a hat on. She's like has gum in her mouth, and she got all the attitude. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with you having attitude because, girl, I got the same attitude about how these people are treating you. And it's frustrating to watch how people have taking her from being like the hero to now you need to sit down and you can only speak when spoken to. That's what it feels like,
exactly.
Right? It exactly feels. That's the way it feels. And she knows the thing I love about Jasmine is that she knows herself. And to say that the video was about her is so stupid because the video was clearly Trump speaking. Trump was the one who was speaking in the video because he keeps attacking her about her IQ. He keeps attacking her, calling her dumb. He's constantly like you said, has her name in his mouth.
Think about this, Tip. And the reason that he has her name and also AOC's name is because they know she's a threat. He knows it. So they started very early, like disparaging her, both of these women, because they are both very good politicians. Okay. They're very savvy and they're very smart. And that is why he speaks about their intellect all the time. And as she said, if you can't pick up on that, because clearly she is in tune and in touch with the people and where we are, and she is prepared to fight. And is that not what people have said they wanted from,
you know, them? They wanted, but not from, they wanted
not
it
from the Black woman.
No, they wanted it when she was in the House. They don't want it because she's going against James Tallarico, who is a white man. This is, I mean, very plain and simple of what it is. They are, and it's just this conversation of, can she win? Can she not win? And as I said on Wednesday, and I've said it in multiple posts, we don't know what wins in Texas because we haven't won there in many, many years. We know that Beto made some strides, but Beto wasn't running from a middle of the road kind of campaign. I mean, he went everywhere. He did what he needed to do, and he came up short. Okay, I get that. This has happened, but we need to be able to turn people who sit at home, low propensity voters out. We need to get the Dem leaning folks off their ass and actually go vote. And we've seen where this has worked in certain places. We haven't seen it on a state level, even in a blue state, where we're turning out low propensity voters, because typically in blue states, the high propensity voters are there and they vote more than the low propensity voters
because they're informed, and she can speak to, I think, those low propensity voters, and I think a lot of those low propensity voters now, like his base and other people, are more tuned in to politics and what's happening because they are feeling more of the effects, and I think that they get it and they understand that. And so, you know, I just I know that there are going to be people out there fighting for her. We all should, because I think she is a great candidate. I don't have a vote in it, but I have an aunt there who does, and you know, she is supporting her, and I think that she would be a great representative. But we'll see. Like I said, but it's interesting, the fights and the complaints that they use against her. And we have to be careful with some of this stuff, and to stop this circular firing squad, like fighting amongst ourselves. Like we have a real battle on our hands. We have a battle now, whether or not we're even going to have free and fair elections. Okay.
Exactly. Like you're fighting the wrong team. Like the fact that people
Mm-hmm.
just paint at her sideways like that, it just showed me where people's priorities are. And I made a post. I haven't really been posting on Twitter, but I made a post on Threads where I said, listen, I understand why people are so like upset about Gaza and Israel, but once again, we live here. We have to gain back the House and we have to gain back the Senate. If you can't put, and I hate to say the words America first because that's a Trump thing.
Yes.
I hate to say that because that is his line.
Yeah, but he doesn't really mean it. We do.
He doesn't really mean it. Exactly. We mean it. Like if you can't prioritize home first, then how do you expect for anything good to happen in Israel, Gaza, anywhere around this world? I just watched a video where the woman is saying, listen, 15 million people are going to die from HIV because we are stopping HIV drugs.
Well, okay.
Thanks to RFK's bullshit, okay? So where are we? So you're talking about stopping people from dying in one place, and we have people that are going to die all over. There are people that are going to die of hunger. There's people that are going to be homeless in America. You are only caring about a small segment of people, which we should all care about everybody. But what about the people that live here? We have to put our oxygen mask on first before we can save anyone.
Thank you very much. And like you said, people are dying of all sorts of things. They are actually, to me, they are setting up preemptive death panels because the ACA, people are going to go without insurance now. And then the rollback of the vaccines, the hepatitis B, like they are trying to kill our babies before they even get here. Okay. It's so backwards and it's crazy to me. Like, I'm like, try to understand the logic of them pushing so for innovation and all of these things with AI. And at one time in our country, it was very innovative and scientific, on the, edge stuff, these vaccines and things that saved lives, that prevented diseases. And now they're trying to take away what we learned from the innovation of that era. It makes no sense because and as you, going back to something else you said, people need to understand, like, I just glanced at, I didn't read it in depth, but I don't have to because this is my thing. We are in an autocratic state. This is no longer a democracy. How far in we get depends on us. Like, we're not hopeless, we're not lost, but we really have to wake up. So having these stupid fights about two good Democrats running, like, let them duke it out. See who the best fighter is, okay? And pay attention to the other things that are going on. He's going around here, seizing oil tankers, talking about invading other countries, in the name of narco terrorists. Yet, again, here's the contradiction. You free one that was lawfully convicted, a well-known coke dealer. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
No, there's no making sense of anything that Trump does at this point. I don't even think he is even mentally aware of what he is doing at this point, because I feel like all he does is complain. All he does is complain about everything. He's not making decisions. I need people to understand that Trump is not making decisions. He's literally just a figurehead that's out there talking. But Stephen Miller, that psychopath, is the one making decisions. Pete Hegseth and his crazy behind.
And the tech bros.
Tech bros. And Trump is very easily influenced by money. And people need to remember that this man is not the one he's maybe making the final decision, but all of these decisions making before it gets to his desk are coming from other people.
And Susie Wiles is his chief of staff. And from Project 2025, they see and saw that position really as the figurehead, like the most. So, these things are being coordinated, and it's not by him, because the man.
Steve Bannon, Steve Bannon is very much coordinating with Trump. He's calling Trump, telling him all these different things. You can see Laura Loomer, of all people, like George.
The fact that she has a real voice in this administration is nuts. It's nuts.
There's people that are constantly in Trump's ears, and the last thing he hears, that's what he believes. It doesn't even matter if it's true.
Right. And like Dina said, money for pardons. The whole administration is about grift. That is all. It's like what he sees, it's not about policy for what's good for America or the people. It's about what is good for him and his family. And all those who are in his cabinet understand that's how he operates. And so they are operating in the same way. Like they are all finding and getting their own grift on. Okay. Because they're getting it while they can. Now, he's probably not going to be around for any real consequences, but they surely are. And we need to make sure that they have it. Like, I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in Europe, and, he was asking me, I thought it was kind of strange, but maybe he's seeing stories about, kind of where Byron, falls in this. And he was like, do you think he's part of? I said, yes, he absolutely is. And because here's the thing, people don't realize, you remember during his first administration, he was against crypto. He thought it was a scam. And how he did an about face, that is because of Byron. Byron is involved, he's young, he's he's in these groups, what do they call that, manosphere, kind of in the gaming. And so he talked this was something that he was into, and he talked his dad into it. He came here for a summit in Nashville with crypto. And then the most gross thing that I saw today is that Byron is friends with, what's his name? That Tate dude.
Oh my God.
Yes.
When you said Byron, it threw me off because I think his name is Barron. Right?
Barron. That's what I say. I'm sorry. Yes.
Byron Donald.
Yes. But Barron. Yes, you're right. And so he is, kind of influencing his dad in a way too. And, like you said, he is being influenced by so many people, but also these people also have their own interests that they are pursuing. And interestingly enough, you talked about him not being there well, and a lot of people want to say he has Alzheimer's and those kinds of things. I was reading an article that was part of that. Remember when he first came out, and these psychologists and psychiatrists did this big story, which is unusual for them to do, being, medical professionals, to not diagnose someone who is not their patient. But they saw that, he was not well. And so now they're saying that it is not Alzheimer's, but dementia, and a very specific kind. And he is exhibiting all those things. And, as a malignant narcissist, it's even worse with that condition, because he really, what the difference is like with Alzheimer's, people kind of forget. Okay. He said, but with this dementia thing, people really, it's not that they forget, but they believe whatever it is that they say. So that's why he's so convincing with
this. He's a pathological liar to go along with it. So that actually makes sense.
Yes. But anyway, I thought that was interesting, and I got us off on a little bit of a tangent, but you made me think of something when you were talking about he was not well. But this just,
the other night when he made that rant about, he had cognitive tests.
Why does he keep bragging about that?
What are you even trying to say? I don't understand how he just has his phone and is just typing this whole long screed about nothing. And the media is just like, oh, it's a normal day. Everything is great, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, if Biden even just breathed wrong, they were freaking out. Where's Jake Tapper?
Yes, and see, this is also another sign of danger that we are no longer in a democracy. The fact that they have normalized his absolute crazy abnormal behavior and that of other things that are being done. Like, we are so far down the autocratic rabbit hole, and that's why I get a little frustrated when, like I said, people want to talk about these things to me that don't matter, or they will definitely keep us stuck where we are for longer. Because the thing that concerns me with the infighting is this same thing was going on during Nazi Germany. Like, there were two parties that were against the Nazis, and they were both kind of left, on left leaning, but they had these different kind of ideologies and platforms, but probably on most of it they agreed. And so, they didn't pool their resources and their fight really until toward the end, realizing that they needed to work together. And that's what, like the APEC money and all of this stuff, it is creating divisions within us, because if they can keep us divided and separated, then they continue to win. And we really do have to be a lot smarter and not fall for the okey doke.
But I don't understand how we can. I don't understand how we make people smarter, because I don't even think it's possible at this point. It feels like people are purposely choosing to be, as Jasmine said, intellectually dishonest. Like, I think that's the way she said it. It was like intellectually dishonest, and people are choosing to fall into this rabbit hole where they decide what their priority is. And I don't understand how you can make Gaza your priority when we are living in hell, unless you have the privilege to not be harmed by the things that Trump is doing, which lends me to believe that many of these people, the black people and Latinos who are doing it, mostly there's a select amount of people that's like a handful of people, but most of these people are white leftists who are doing this. And I look at them and I'm like, I bet your parents are MAGA. I bet your parents are MAGA.
And like, probably, but this goes back to, remember the spaces conversation that I used to have on the hellscape, Democracy First, and it goes back to kind of my initial stance, and that is that we have to fight for democracy. And when we were talking about it and putting it on the ballot before and making it part of the argument, people don't care about that. Well, now that we don't have one, do you care? Because even if you care about Gaza, if you don't care about other things, if you care about healthcare, if you want Medicare for all, whatever it is that you want, it is only possible in a democracy. We got to keep democracy, people. We don't have that, you don't get none of the other shit that you want.
Right. I think that's the part that pisses me off the most about this, right? And how can you possibly say that you care about Gaza while also allowing Trump to be the president who is giving basically Netanyahu whatever he wants? Netanyahu, as Kamala said in her book, he wanted Trump to be reelected. He did not want Biden to be reelected. He did not want Kamala to be president. And you actually assisted him in harming more people. Like, this doesn't, like you said, I don't know how to make people smarter, because people just seem to be ignorant as hell.
Yes, it's true. And I just keep pushing for people to to be informed, and whether we can make them smarter or they get smarter on their own, I don't know. But there are a lot of people, like, we know, what was it, 90 million people who did not vote, like, smart or not. They weren't engaged. And so we need to talk to those people, because everyone has skin in this game, no matter what you want.
Yeah, but I think the conversation to have with those people is a similar conversation to what Jasmine wants to have the conversation about, which Mom Donnie had the conversation about in New York, which the Afton had conversations about in Tennessee, which the majority of the candidates that are running are having conversations with Speaker, was hopefully soon to be Speaker Leader Jeffries, is talking about. We are all on the same page as Democrats. For once in our generation, we have an actual issue, and Trump hates the word affordability. He's already said this. He doesn't like the word affordability. He doesn't think there's any issue with affordability. But this is a word that Democrats actually can rally around, and the conversation looks a little different depending on what part of the country you're in. And like here on the East Coast, a lot, and in Tennessee too, a lot of conversations is about data centers. But the reason why we're having the conversation is because it's impacting freaking light bills and the environment and all of these things that go back to cost. And
exactly.
So we can have the conversation, and it can be a universal conversation amongst Democrats to be able to talk through it. How we talk about it, what we do with it, who's the messenger is always going to be a different thing. But that is what Jasmine, and I appreciated that she said, listen, I'm not trying to reach out to
MAGA.
I'm really not. I'm trying to reach the people, like you said, who are sitting on their behinds, who are dejected and do not care and think that politics even matters to them. There are a lot of people. You speak to people, like I speak to people. They're like, why do I care about what the government does? The government.
I know, and that is just one of
and you hear these kinds of conversations, and you just want to shake them.
Yeah.
But you also have to kind of
bring them in
to what they're saying and try to make them realize that when you sit out, nothing good is going to happen, and what the trajectory of what's going to continue to happen is it will get worse. So I think that is the aim of her campaign, and I'm sure it's the aim of Tallarico's campaign as well, and it's the aim of pretty much every Democrat, whether it was Mikey Sherrill or Abigail Spanberger. They all had a central message, and we've been asking Democrats to have a central message for years,
and it's now right, and now yes, and now it is super easy because it is becoming more and more of an issue. Like, people are actually feeling the impact, and the fact that he is calling it a scam is all the more reason to run on it, because you can say what you want to people, but people feel what they feel when they have to pay for things. Like, their purse, their bank accounts,
exactly,
are real. It doesn't matter what you tell them. Like, you can tell them all kinds of things about putting America first and go out and, blow up boats and kill people, in the name of whatever, and people might believe you. But you can't tell people that, groceries are coming down when they go to the grocery store every week and they have to shell out more money. And the thing with the grocery thing is that is something that the majority of people, not Trump, because he's probably never gone grocery shopping. Groceries. He's never gone. He's always had. I mean, he's a rich guy. That's a word, groceries.
Grocery shopping, food shopping, to the supermarket, to whatever. He's just never done that. I mean, let's be real. But I think that even a person like myself and people like myself who make a decent amount of money, who are financially okay, are still realizing that they are paying more money. And when your money starts to decrease, after you finish paying, like a lot of people, they're not living paycheck to paycheck. But if you had $500 every week extra, and now at the end of the week you have maybe only $100 left because you spend so much more money, and your bills are increasing. Your light bill's getting more. Your everyday bills, your cable,
your groceries,
all these. Yeah, I mean, people were pissed about this Paramount deal and how much more they're going to have to pay. I mean, these things start to add up, and once they start adding up, then your money starts to deplete. So people that are doing okay or have been doing okay in this economy, they may no longer be doing okay. The poor will always remain poor because unfortunately that's the way the system is set up.
And they will always be among us.
Yeah, and the people that are in the middle, those are the people that really do impact elections, because once they feel strapped or they feel like they are getting squeezed, then they want to show up because now they want change.
Exactly. And I think that we have great things to message on. The things that he's doing with the military, he is not stopping the healthcare, fallout, not just from the rise in premiums, but also the actual lived experiences and impact. Because right now, where is it? Over in South Carolina, they got a measles outbreak over there, and it just keeps growing, you know and people don't stay in the same place. We Americans, we travel. Okay. And I mean, they had it in Texas for a while, and now, so as these kinds of things start to happen, and these vaccines be taken away, like, people are going to feel it economically, and they're going to feel it health wise. And even those that have insurance, because these people believe in deregulation. Once you start pulling back the regulations from insurance companies, because this is part of what the ACA did, it kept insurers, it had some checks on them, and these
Right.
people are taking those away. So you can imagine a lot of things being, procedures and things being denied. And we'll go back to that period where people have pre-existing conditions, and like, your employment is your ability to have health care will be tied to your employment. And so we're just going backwards.
Yeah, we're definitely going backwards. And the thing that's frustrating me is that there are so many people that are actually, we don't even get job reports anymore. I said this when this happened, when they got rid of the labor force in the first
LBR.
They're just going to stop giving reports, because if the reports are not what they want them to be, they're just going to stop giving them. And sure enough, we haven't seen one in a while, or their excuse was, of course, the shutdown. But where's the report? Today?
Yeah.
Last week we should have got one. We didn't get. I don't think we got one. I don't remember seeing one.
I don't think we're going to get one. I don't think we're
going to get one. But to your point about insurance, right? We have a system where if you get laid off, you could go then jump on instead of having to pay COBRA, if you weren't given any severance and your employer wasn't going to, you could go and join an ACA plan, or you could get another different type of insurance. You could possibly maybe qualify for Medicaid. Now they have all these different requirements that they are putting on, and people are going to be without insurance and living on a prayer and hoping that they don't get sick. And if they do get sick, they know they can go to the emergency room, and they'll have to wait a couple long waits. And it's only going to get worse as we go through the next year, because of the regulations and the things that they are trying to get rid of, as well as the fact that these Medicaid regulations they've actually increased some of these Medicaid regulations, where you have to get certified every 6 months. They are causing states, they have to hire a ton of people in my state to be able to certify all these people that are on Medicaid every 6 months. This shit is ridiculous. Like, it is so much more work that needs to be done, and people aren't really talking about these things because they don't really understand the impacts that they are going to have on state budgets, because it will start impacting state budgets. We are not bringing in as much revenue into the states because of Trump's tax cuts to the rich. Remember, when you file your state taxes, it's impacted by your federal taxes. So these rich folks are not paying as much, and therefore we are not bringing as much revenue into the states because of the way taxes work, which is very complicated. And most people do not understand how we are going to be like millions of dollars, like there's more than $1 million, like there are millions of dollars in a deficit because of the way that these things are going to work. Like we're going to have like $1 billion deficit here in Maryland that we are going to have to work out. And many of the states, I don't know if you've ever seen this chart, but there's a chart of all the states and their GDP and how it has dropped because of Trump. This is where we are, guys, and it's really frustrating that most people, like you said, they're just not paying attention to what's going on. They worry about what's in their pockets, how it's impacting, but all these things, and they're wondering, well, I understand why this is happening in my state. Well, maybe the reason why your registration is going up is because Trump's stupid ass is the problem, and we're trying to give people the same lifestyle that they've had. But how can we do that if the states cannot run a deficit? They have to be able to balance their budgets. Mm-hmm. So at this time of the year, we're about to go back in session. Guess what? We got to figure out how we're going to make up for the deficits that would occur.
Exactly.
And it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, and it's going to be crazy when ours start back because, we got Elon here doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Not only does he have his AI center here polluting, the Memphis area and making people sick, but, he also wrangled a deal out of the legislature, basically our governor and his cronies, to do this crazy ass Music City loop. And already he has shown his scammery. And they have shown how they are not even managing the resources that we have, because I told you, like, they didn't run this through the state legislature or have any kind of studies or anything done. And we have kind of crazy terrain here. We have limestone, which makes it susceptible to sinkholes over time. And so you can imagine someone who doesn't give a shit about regulations. They don't care about, the safety of the tunnel that they're digging. And we already had a local crew that they hired walk out because of safety regulations and pay. Like they weren't paying the people. Now, fortunately, it's a company that's well established, so they were able to pay their workers, but they still haven't been paid. They've only been paid a small percentage of what they're due. And they were also constantly, yes, we have limestone, Alva. It's called terse terrain. And they were actually trying to poach this company's employees. They were calling them and asking them to leave the company and come and work for the boring company. And the employees went back to their boss and told them. So they all just walked off. And he said he was trying to keep it on the down low. But since they did that and he left, he started blowing the lid on other stuff that they were doing. Like their employees were not even wearing proper safety gear, and they weren't shoring up the tunnels. Like, when you're digging that deep and to prevent cave-ins, and he said when you go that deep, this is someone who has been doing this for a long time here locally with projects, said you have to secure that with like cement structures. He said, I kid you not. He said, I am almost embarrassed to say this. They were using wood 2x12s. So, you're putting the workers at risk and the ground above you. Now, here's the other crazy thing, how that cronyism, because they didn't, he just basically got the land. They basically gave it to him. They gave him, he pays no lease or anything. And so my representative here in my district said, well, what about the rock when he digs it up? What happens then? They had no answers. So guess what? Now already, they've only been doing this for like a month or two already. Now the state has got to talk to him about buying back our freaking rocks.
Oh, wow.
I mean, how stupid is that? How stupid is that? So, yeah. So this is the kind of thing that we're dealing with. And people have to be aware. And so I think the things that he's doing like that here, because, if we have to buy back our own rocks or whatever that's coming out of our budget, it's going to be less for other things, that we need to do. And the healthcare, we have our own, like Medicaid program here. But yeah, everything, that's the part that trickles down, not the money, but the consequences. And people are going to start feeling it. So
yeah, the consequences are very real in what they're doing. And like you said, it's vaccines, it's just the tariffs. Lord of mercy, the tariffs are definitely, people, they're like, oh, it's not a big deal, it's going to get better in the fourth quarter. Where's fourth quarter? Where's it getting better? Because I don't see it. Groceries, I mean, there's so many things that are impacted. And I think the consequences, we can apply our own consequences like we have done to Target, where they're closing stores, and we can do that ourselves. But at the end of the day, like, we still have to live in this society, which is why it frustrates me to no end how people think and talk about politics and care more about what is happening in another country than the country that they actually live in. And we
starts in your backyard, folks.
Yeah, we live here, and what is more important than trying to win elections to get back? Are Democrats perfect? Absolutely. Do we make mistakes? Absolutely. Do sometimes we spend too much money? Probably. I mean, on things that are not necessary. Maybe they are. But there, some of this stuff is, we need to try to continue to have some of these programs. Without the ACA, we will go back to hell. I mean, we're already in it, but we will go back to a time when people were just denied coverage. Do we want to go backwards? We're supposed to be moving forward. How can you claim to be a progressive and you don't want progress? Like, that does not make any sense to me in any way, shape, or form. You would rather sacrifice the electability of a Democrat over a single issue versus trying to make progress. Don't call yourself a fucking progressive anymore. I'm sorry, you're not. You're
the stance I've always had about it. I don't know why that label is needed, because like I said, I feel like the Democrat is a progressive party. Like, all of the policies that they implement and the platform that they always have is very progressive. Okay. And so why you need to differentiate, I don't know, but that's a Bernie thing. I have so much things I can talk about Bernie, but I think that's kind of where this whole, like, oh, I'm a progressive. Most people were considered liberal. You're liberal. Exactly.
And now we're fighting, okay, like the liberals versus the leftists versus, there's like all these different division of who we are. But at the end of the day, listen, I'm a Democrat. I can like a Mamdani. I can like, a Jasmine Crockett. I can like an Abigail Spanberger, who is a more moderate. Like, there's spectrums to this.
Yeah.
And it's based on what your state is. And I mean, of course, I live in Maryland. We have people that are all different types of Democrats, but we all work together. And I just find it just odd that people want to be put into this box of
dividing yourself.
I will only like you if you do this. You need, and then there's like these demands, like, you need to come and tell us what your position is on Gaza. Like, no, Jasmine doesn't have to tell you shit. Like, you don't even vote. She needs to tell the people in Texas who are going to vote for her. If they ask a question in her town hall, or if they ask a question, on a local news station, then yeah, she should answer that question. But you people online, you don't demand anything from Jasmine, okay? Because you sound stupid. But the thing that I appreciate about the fact that Jasmine run, it exposed a lot of people in the way that they think and how they think. And the anti-blackness is just disgusting, and especially the massage warrant is even worse than what a lot of people, because a lot of people try to make excuses for how Kamala was treated. And of course, if you've been in the K-Hive, associated with the K-Hive in any kind of way, we have talked about this for years. But I think people actually saw it firsthand
And they're going to
outside
see
of
it
Kamala
again. They're going to see it
with
again.
Jasmine. They so because they love Jasmine just the same way they love Kamala when she was in the Senate. Oh, Kamala was great at the, and they'll see it again with AOC if she ever decides to run for Senate, right? I hope she's taking notes. I hope AOC is taking notes, because if she decides to run against Schumer, these people are going to come at her the exact same way. And there are no women of color are not exempt from this shit. None. Black women get it the worst, but Latinos will get it the second, and then white women get it the third.
Exactly,
okay?
because
and so on and so forth.
Yeah, because they don't want women in there. Because I mean, think about it. This Project 2025 is a white Christian nationalist agenda, and they have their idea of everyone's place in society, and they think women belong in the kitchen and having babies. Now, they will have some in those places like Bondi and Nome, but you know why they're in those places? It's to soften the blow of the awful shit that they're doing. So they are softening it with a female, face. But that's what Marjorie just learned, because remember how she was out there, and she seemed so important and everything. They don't need her now. They got some other faces, and she's feeling it, and she's mad. And that's the other thing before, we start to kind of wrap up. They're like, we have our own infighting on with the Dems, because, I am an independent. I can be, because here in my state, we don't have to register, but I have always voted democratically. And I tend to, lean into that Democratic label, because it allows me to have conversations differently. And also because in some ways, it's kind of my background, because I got my career started in the military. And that is the ethos of the military. Like, we all have our stance, but we don't, we don't take these corners, and we don't, talk about them all the time. But the Democrats have always had the platforms that I supported, but I think it's important, again, for us to look less at labels and more at policy and individual leadership and capability. And just because someone has, an RD by their name, that should, what we need to be looking at is, what have they done? What do they envision doing? And, really make sure that we as people are civically engaged. Like, I am sick of people like, where are the Dems? Where are this? Where are that? Where are you? Because you got some skin in this game. Like, that's my thing. Increasing civic engagement, because that is the only firewall. Like, we can see how these institutions have capitulated and in some way enabled and helped. It is not on institutions to save us. Like, some judges are doing the right thing, but some of them are folding, because he put some of them in place. And of course, in a legal system here, he's going to take anything that he doesn't agree with to the Supreme Court, and they definitely are co-opted. They belong to him. So that's the country that we're living in, and the ability for us to snatch back our democracy lies within us, in our hands. Everybody needs to do something. It's all hands on deck. Less complaining, more working, and vetting those candidates.
Man, put it on a billboard. Like this. I mean, it's so serious. And as we go, obviously we're at the end of the year, and we have 3 more weeks until this year is over, and we have to start gearing up for 2026. I mean, we are there. We've talked about it the whole year about 2026 is coming. What are we going to? But 2026 is here. When you think about Texas, as Jasmine said, when she announced, she said it was 85 days until the primary, and we're probably almost to 80 now, and so it's going to go fast. It's going to go furious, and these candidates are going to have to make their case to why they are the best candidate. Republicans have to do the same. They have a primary in Texas too.
Mm-hmm.
In Michigan, there's an open seat. There's a primary on both sides. I mean, we have a lot of races in New Hampshire. I mean, a lot of senators are leaving. Some are being challenged. And so we have a lot of races that are going to be run. And if every single time the litmus test is Gaza, we will not have any Democrats in office if that is what your litmus. Because everyone you're going to be like, no, not that person. There's only two candidates running in Texas that are Democrats: Talrico and Jasmine.
Okay.
One of those two are going to win. Okay, this is just how it works. The same in the other states. So you can have your fave. I don't care if you like Talrico. I don't care if he is the person that you like. Just don't drag Jasmine down, because I don't have anything negative to say about Talrico.
Right.
Other than I am sick of people. I call him Mr. Wonder Bread. Which people were very offended by.
I saw that. I thought it was funny.
It's true, because people act like he's the best thing since sliced bread, and I'm like, he's not. He's not the best thing since sliced bread. He has to earn his place.
Exactly. It's only, I think he got a lot of national attention, and he was on a lot of national cable shows, kind of talking about Christian nationalism, and Christianity, because he is a person of faith. But, he doesn't have a lock on that, because Jasmine is too. I think her dad is a minister, or she grew up in a very, religious community. And, I've heard her speak about having basically her minister on speed dial and often using it. And, like he gets back to her. So he doesn't have a lock on that. And like I said, as a Black woman in the South, I understand that, and so I can speak to Christian nationalism just like he can as well. So I said,
it's not a white thing. There's people that they're Black Christians. Mm-hmm. She's going to appeal to them. Let me just tell you this story before we go, because it made me, when you just said that, made me think. So Jasmine once came to an event here in Maryland, and it was for Angela also Brooks. And there's always the story that she told always stood out to me, because she was like, listen, when I was running my first race, I had to win. She didn't win by a lot in her first race, not for Congress, but I think at the state level. Mm-hmm. She was like, listen, I had to get everybody. She's like, I went into buildings. I was talking to the homeless people on the side of the street. She's like, I even got the homeless guy to come to the polls, because he was a citizen, to come vote for me. And she was like, I did everything that I could. So I would say, please do not underestimate Jasmine. Yes, it's a big state, but do not underestimate her will to win, because she has had to struggle to win a race before, and she's the kind of person like Angela also Brooks, who will be at a mall. She will be she will be at the club. She will, we've seen this like in the past, like a Mom Dania, we saw him at the club and stuff. But
yes.
Jasmine is not afraid to go anywhere. And those are the kind of candidates that we have to appreciate, that will go anywhere and do anything to win votes.
Exactly.
And I can't see the other guy going into the club, because he would look like so,
yeah, they're going to cart him if he does.
Yeah, they're like, why is the little Christian boy here with his suit on?
Exactly. Well, this has been a great conversation, Tiff. And before we go, and I want to thank all of you for joining us, for joining in the chat. Like I said, I'm going to have to get with Zach to figure out how to bring you in. I might have to pair our YouTube channels or whatever, because I do have it up live. I don't know what it looks like on YouTube, because I couldn't bring you in on that software that I'm using, but I need to talk to Zach about doing that. But hey, we made it happen, because we are not going to be deterred. It's always a great conversation with you. So I want to give you an opportunity. I think probably a lot of people already know who you are, but I want to give you an opportunity to tell people, to have a closing message and tell people where they can find you.
Well, for those that don't know, I'm Candidly Tiff, as it says, but I'm Tiff. At the end of the day, I'm Tiff. And You guys can find me on here, of course, on Substack, Candidly Tiff. On Instagram, same thing, Candidly_Tiff. That's the same name on Threads. My biggest account is on Twitter, which is
The Hellscape
330, which I haven't really been on there because I've been taking a little bit of a break. I still do post once in a blue moon on there, but I needed to be December Zen because I was fried from this whole year. So, but that's the main account. I always post these videos. So if you want to share this video and people don't have Substack, I always post a video of these lives on my YouTube page as well, Candidly_Tiff. And listen, I'm here. I'm ready for 2026. I had to decompress a little bit, but I'm ready. So yes. Whoever needs help for 2026, let me know. I always have the receipts, and you can always hit me in the DMs, talk to me about whatever you got going on. But it's going to be a busy 2026, and hopefully we'll meet again in 2 weeks so that we can end the year and talk about the end of the year. Right?
Yes, do a recap. And I love it. And I always love, chopping it up with you. We've been doing this a long time now, and I love this kind of new platform and, opportunity we have to expand our reach. And guys, Tiff is very civically engaged and knowledgeable. She does great civic lessons, and I think that a lot of people need them right now. So you better get ready to be doing some of those explainers, and I will definitely share them. And of course, I'm Dee Batiste, Advocacy Arena Network. We're growing, as I said, trying something new here, but you can find me on the Hellscape Twitter and Advocacy Arena. Also, Deja. Yes, Deja Designs is my on Twitter, but I also have Advocacy Arena. But I'm on Blue Sky, and I am on Spoutable. I'm very active on Spoutable, guys, and I know a lot of people, it's not a huge app. It doesn't have, a lot of people there, but it has some great features. And one of the things that it has is the ability for us to have live, audio chats like we do on Twitter, in the spaces, and they're called pods. And so I moved my Monday Good Trouble chat over to Spoutable, and that's every Monday at 12 noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. And then when I'm not here on Fridays with Tiff on Substack, I am back on Spoutable in what's called discussions. And there I do a deep dive, a documentary watch, and a Q&A. And that's the other great thing, is there's a feature where we can actually show clips and things. So we watch clips and documentaries, and we talk about them, and basically, trying to increase people's understanding of the issues that we're facing around white supremacy and Christian nationalism, because that is truly the real threat lying underneath all of this. That's what's driving it. So I hope you guys will follow me, subscribe to the YouTube channel, to my Substack. I write a lot of articles to go into more detail and depth about some of these things that we are talking about now, and I hope that we will talk about in the future. Most of my articles, all of my articles, are free. But, if you would like to become a paid subscriber, it would help me, because I do pay for a few apps and things to be able to do some of these things. So I appreciate a little help, or you can buy me a coffee. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for joining us, and I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here in 2 weeks on Fired Up Friday.